Quiet on the Western Front. This is a movie that got rave reviews coming out of the Toronto International Film Festival, and it hit Netflix about a week ago or so. I finally had a chance to check it out just because I've been so busy here. This was directed by Edward Berger, and it stars the likes of Daniel Brühl, who I've always thought was an incredible actor. This is a German film as well. It's already gotten its bid from Germany to be its nominee for Best International Feature at the Oscars. And after watching this movie, it's easy to see why. But this is of course an adaptation of the famous novel by Erich Maria Remarque, a novel I read when I was a sophomore in high school. And this pretty much follows the novel's plotline very, very closely. War breaks out in Germany in 1914, and we follow four young men who quickly and enthusiastically enlist in the army to serve their fatherland. But no sooner are they drafted than the first images from the battlefield show them the reality of war. And to truth be told, it's not really as glorifying as they were expecting. Truth be told, this is an anti-war war movie. And it shows you that through absolutely gut-wrenching and visceral direction. This is really showcasing the brutality of war. All Quiet on the Western Front does not celebrate or glorify the heroes or anything like that. These are just people who go out onto the battlefield, and these are young men who are excited at first. But then once reality really sinks in, this movie is just, oh my word, oh my word, this was a lot. The movie is relentless in horrifying imagery. The brutality of the situation, all the corpses that are running about, all the heavy lifting that they have to do, all of their comrades into coffins. Edward Berger's direction and this cinematography, this imagery that we're being shown, this is stuff that's going to be seared into my head for a really long time. The battle sequences in here come off like a scary movie. This is just like, this is a war movie pretty much along the same lines as 1917. It's focusing on the Great War, World War I. I feel like it's a perfect companion piece for Sam Mendes' 1917. Except basically, All Quiet on the Western Front does not have the gimmick of being like a one-take style film. And the editing of this movie is just so darn good. Everything about this direction and this cinematography, the color palette in here, the contrast, it is just pitch perfect. I love the contrast when we zoom in on Daniel Brühl's character, for example, who's phenomenal as he usually is. These are the social elite who are basically treating these soldiers like pawns. They're in their lush little carriages and they're in their nice office spaces. And the colors are very warm, they're bright, they're comforting, they're vibrant. Then when you go out onto the battlefield, it's pretty much a living nightmare. There's a lot of gray tints out here on the battlefield. Lots of red everywhere for the blood being spilled. And I think if nobody else gets anything out of All Quiet on the Western Front, they can at least get that contrast there. Now, the only time I've ever read this book was for a school assignment when I was in high school. And I was a sophomore in high school about 10 years ago by this point. So, I'm not gonna say, like, I remember every detail about the novel as vividly as I'd like to. Especially for the purposes of this review, you know, just to kind of get this little point out of the way. But from what I understand, and from what I remember, this is probably as close to the source material as you're gonna get. And I really admire the screenwriters for sticking as close to the source material as possible. Because at its core, I've mentioned already, this movie does not glorify war in any way. This is basically showing the audience, hey, this is the situation that you're put in, and this is just how horrible it all is. And this is what it's like. And it is excruciating to sit through. Not in the sense of, like, it's boring, of course, but I don't really ever see myself rewatching All Quiet on the Western Front ever again, mainly because the experience you have watching this movie isn't really a pleasant one. Because the immersiveness of this direction thrusts you out onto the battlefield with these young men, and you just see the torture that they're going through, and you are in it with them. The sound mixing and the sound design is also just so darn incredible. It really does make you feel like you're in the action with these guys. And it would not surprise me if the Academy really latches onto this film and gives it a bunch of nominations. Sound design I could very easily see getting at the very least a nomination, if not winning it entirely. I would love to see this recognized in Best Cinematography. This is one of 2022's best looking movies, just speaking in terms of the camera work. Volker Bertelmann's musical score is also extremely haunting. It almost simulates a pulsating heartbeat. and it really makes you feel like your own heart is about to leap out of your chest when you listen to this music. Now, the movie is 2.5 hours, so not everybody's gonna want to put this one on when they're just surfing through Netflix. It's not gonna be their go-to choice either when they're just looking for a fun time. Because All Quiet on the Western Front is not a fun time at all. It's a pretty excruciating film experience just because of the situation that these men are in. And you gotta give the filmmaker credit for how immersive this experience actually is. So therefore, you cannot call All Quiet on the Western Front a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. I'm gonna give All Quiet on the Western Front an A-. Faithfulness to the source material is a big strength of this movie, along with the technicals. Rewatchability factor certainly won't be there for a lot of people, though, including myself. But let me know what you thought of All Quiet on the Western Front down in the comments section below. Is this your favorite war movie of all time? Is it something like Saving Private Ryan or Hacksaw Ridge? Guys, feel free to let me know all your thoughts down in the comments. I love starting the discussion with you guys and creating these videos. Getting to interact with you guys makes things all the more fun for me. And if you're a first-time visitor, do consider becoming a subscriber. Hit that notification bell right next door, that way you don't miss a second more of the action. And please do me a favor and hit that like button as well. Likes really help this channel and really helps this community continue to grow. Stay tuned for more exciting content hitting my channel very soon. It's gonna be a big home stretch through the end of the year, and I will be talking about my best and worst movies of the year once it's all said and done. Should be interesting discussions and all that once the ball drops in 2023. Lots of great movies this year, and a lot more great ones still to come. Guys, thank you all so much for tuning into this video. Y'all are the best. And with all that being said, back talk, commence!